and then I'll remove the chairs that we don't need, okay? So we're going to do an introduction. We're going to do a pledge of allegiance. Each one of you gets a 5-minute opening speech. That 5 minute, you walk up to there. The microphone is on. Clock is right there. If you can't see it, we'll let you know when you have a minute left, okay? Use all the time. You're welcome to use it. If you want an extension, ask for one. 5 minutes there to open it. Each one of you gets an opening speech. Once you're done with that, you sit back down, and then we're going to call in order. Carrie will probably go first. We're going to general questions. You answer. Sit down. Next one up. Everybody gets to answer the question, okay? Reply for everybody. I don't know how many of those we're going to do, but when we're done with that, each one of you will get 3 minutes in closing. Okay? All right? So we are going, in 3 minutes, everybody needs to be in their spots, okay? If you want fresh water, coffee, take some water up there with you, you're welcome to, okay? We'll start at 10, okay? Everybody know their seating assignments? Okay. You can sit right now, Dale, if you want.
We are at the meeting.
Yeah, we're
I know.
Huh?
We're in the mayor.
Secretary being here.
Illinois.
And
Gentleman here. There's Dale.
All right, anybody that just came
Tony
in?
Peasy. Terry Becker. Tiffany.
hello, Father.
That's all that's here. So we have 3 trustees here and 2 trustees. 4 candidates.
You got a question you want to submit? Last call for questions. Thank you, Gary.
Can you see this? Can you guys see this?
There you go, partner.
Okay.
All right. Last call for questions,
Unless you
please.
guys have something else.
Last call.
They said,
All right.
Oh, but I think they should give me at least 10 minutes.
Okay, you said.
Yes.
5 minutes or opening?
Sorry, right.
No, that's
But if
fine.
they need more time.
They can ask. If they need more time, ask for an extension.
Then that'd be before
And then you
10
will
minutes.
just clip it
Okay.
off.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll get it.
I would be surprised if they needed that much.
I know. Okay, this is
You're welcome.
5 minutes, this one. Right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, please, real quick. The very, very first thing that we want to do, we're all going to rise, remove our caps, and we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to, before we start, I want to put out a big thank you to Commander, give him a big round of applause, Mark Smith. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to him here in just a second, and then he's going to run the show for us, okay? Also, give Claire a big round of applause. She's videotaping for us for people that can't be here. She welcome them. So, I want to start by saying thank you very, very much. The more active that we can be in the community, the better. And these people are taking time from their lives. There's 11 people running for 4 positions. If you look at the election coming up, unprecedented. There are so many positions not even being challenged. In Kincaid, that's not the case. So thank you so very much. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Commander Mark Smith.
Thank you, everybody. First off, I want to announce that the American Legion in no way is endorsing or sponsoring any of the candidates. This was an open forum for any and all political parties. We'll begin with the 5-minute opening statement. We'll start here on the right and go left. John, up to you.
Hey, also real quick, I'm sorry, silence your phones, please.
morning. I was hoping there'd be more people here from the community, but it is what it is. At least we're videoing it. And, thank you all for being here. My name is John Durbin. I'm running for Kincaid Mayor. I'm gonna stay on straight because otherwise I'll probably mess it up. The reason for this is to make a long needed change for this community. We have 3 trustee positions available and 1 mayor position, and it's a great opportunity to get this town and board on track, and that we can help our residents with this election. I'm going to tell you a little bit about education and family. I have resided in this community the majority of my life, Midland and South Fork area. My family and I have resided at 110 Richardson Avenue in Kincaid for 27 years. I've attended Toby Elementary and South Fork High School. I married Jill Thomas Durbin of Kincaid in '98. My wife and family were life members of this town. We have 1 daughter, Grace, who currently lives with us. She's highly involved in South Fork youth. She is currently manager of McDonald's night shift crew and a member of Lincoln Land Community College, where she's going to nursing school. I myself am an Illinois licensed plumber for over 21 years with 35 years experience. I'm self-employed in this area in 3 counties as John Durbin Plumbing for over 14 years before being asked to, I was asked to come to Blakely Heating, Cooling and Plumbing and be their lead plumber, which I shut my business down for the opportunity there. I served as a trustee for a term and a half. I took over Joni Lay's position when she was diagnosed with cancer, and then re-elected the following term. My wife and I were the captains of the neighborhood watch in our section of town around the school area, and Denise was big involved into that South Fork, or the neighborhood watch program. And I feel that we need to get this program going again because of lack of police. And as currently now, we have no police. My goals as mayor is to listen and act on the city's needs and concerns. I've heard a lot of complaints about the citizens of our town, streets, potholes, drainage issues, alleys, sidewalks, and for years, still yet nothing happening to get it done. We have most of our employees are spending their time out at the campgrounds and leaving the city where we're not getting our projects done like we should. And we do pay high taxes for what we're getting from the community, and we just need to resolve things here. And free up the time for the employees at the campground. I had recommended through a couple board meetings about hiring a mowing service, so they're not out there constantly, daily, taking care of the place. And then we'd have time to work on these issues. Next concern is the police issue in town. Our problem mostly is because we can't afford police and pay them a decent wage, so they're all going on to other towns. So we need to up our pay and get something going that these officers will be proud to live in this town and serve the community. My goal is with the police is to have the police patrol 104 in County 5 for speed control. And instead of, we got yard violations, that's costing us more in attorney fees than what we're making ourselves, or what the city's making out of it. But yet we do need to take care of our yards. The park issue, we've had a $14,000 purchase on the kitchen equipment. And so far, I don't know if we've even used it once. I think South Fork might have used it.
30 seconds.
And then we've had 3 trustees said they're going to donate their salaries to the project or the funds. And yet 2 meetings later, they're saying they're not. They denied it. They even said it at a board meeting.
Yes, sir.
And we need to get projects for this equipment to be used to help fund it. We have a lot of conflicts in the board members and citizens, and it should not happen in a public place.
5 minutes.
We've had a zoning officer / trustee running for mayor, violently acting with the citizens of the public, and it took a trustee to stop this situation, which it took the mayor. And also our foreman works two full jobs, and I'm questioning myself whether he's physically and mentally to handle his job here in Kincaid to supervise our employees.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Tony?
Good morning, my name is Tony Peasy, most of you know me. First off, I got to get out. Everybody I talked to has made the remark to me, all you're gonna do is get elected and hand it on down to Mike or to somebody else on the board. That is a bald-faced lie. That came from Mike. I know it has, because he was originally one of the ones that called me and asked me to run for mayor, along with several other people, and I'd already considered it anyway. So I went over for a meeting with him, and I left him with a scenario just to see how much I could trust him. The remark I made to him was, I asked him, if for some reason I had to be away from a meeting, would he fill in as mayor pro tem? And he said yes. And I said, fine. Well, 3 days later, I saw it posted on the internet that I said I was going to appoint him as mayor. If I got it, I'd step down and appoint him as mayor, which I can't appoint nobody. It has to go through the board. That being said, I wanted to air that it was a lie. If somebody tells you that, it's a lie. I'm here for the long run. I've been all my life. Okay, I lived in Kincaid most of my life, but then moved to Chatham for several years. We didn't like it. The people weren't friendly like they were down here. So we moved back. In that 3-year period of time, noticeable difference in the appearance of Kincaid. Of course, we went through the scandal, you know, with Doug and the police chief and all that. And the new administration to come in didn't keep up on their limits violations and stuff like that on personal property. That needs to change. But I've lived here most of my life, and my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, they've all went to this school, you know. When I got out of school, I started working at the mine, got drafted, went to service, come back, worked at the mine until it shut down. Went back to school, got an education in HVAC and commercial refrigeration, and finished my working career as a service tech for yard heating and cooling. Past history with the village, I was on the board for probably 19 years. Then Doug left, he asked me to take over as mayor, and I accepted, and I did it for about a year. Till we moved to Chatham, and I had to resign. When I first took the board, my whole intention was to run 2 terms and get out. And I still believe that's the way it should be. But the problem was, every time I started, the new election came up after my 8 years, most of the people running, all were running under an agenda. They wanted their projects done. They wanted something done in their neighborhood and stuff like that. So I stayed in. And I didn't think it was right to come in with an agenda. You're coming in to work for the village, not one certain area of town or one neighborhood or anything like that. So that's why I stayed as long as I did. I had no intentions on it. And in that time, we had several major projects. We did the storm sewer system from the south side of town over here, all the way over to the north side of Ridge Street. That was probably about a 1.5-year project, give or take. We also did the water line in Taterville. I was the only one out of everybody on there that was totally against it. I'm still totally against it. For one reason, it cost us $600,000 to put the line in. and then that administration give it to Taterville. We borrowed the money from Taterville, and we're still paying for that lumber. Didn't make no sense to me, but that's what happened. What else did we do? We put a water machine up at the village hall, so people
30
could get
seconds.
fresh water. My goals, told me to get in. First off, there has to be accountability. There's no accountability on the board. They do what they want. It's not right. They need to do a better job with our taxpayers' money. They need to be accountable to
10
that
seconds.
taxpayers' money. And I would like to see change. I got a lot of changes involved in the police department if we hire new. I was a big advocate of the police department. When I got in, we only had one officer, fought tooth and nail to get a second one. And I still think we need 2 full-time officers at one time, if we have the funding. And,
Time's up.
well, that's enough. But anyway, I'm 100% for the village. I'll work for the people. I will be at the office. I was before, and I will be this time, a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the afternoon. My phone calls, the phone number is available. I'll talk to anybody who wants to talk to me, and I won't lie to them. If we can do it, we'll do it. If we can't, we won't. That's just where it's gotta be. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Hi, most of you don't know me, but my name is Tiffany Wupker, and I'm honored to be running for trustee. I have lived in the Midland area most of my life. Thank you. I am currently a volunteer emergency medical responder with the Midland Fire Protection District. I have been with them since December of 2023. I am currently a paraprofessional for Pawnee Community Unit School District, where I travel daily up to Sassett Central in Springfield, and I work with disabled and/or nonverbal students. I have volunteered for the last 4 or 5 years for the South Fork Youth Association within their softball program. I am a widow with 4 children, ages 13, 8, 6, and 5. Growing up in Kincaid, everybody knew everybody, and we helped our neighbors. I still currently do that. We have an elderly neighbor 2 doors down. He's by himself. We take him dinners almost every other night. My children love going down there to deliver it. We also helped someone around the block who was on hospice until they had passed, with meals. Our cops were always on duty until at least 1 a.m., and I think Sunday was their only day off when I was growing up. I think that needs to go back to the way it was. I may know very little about being a trustee, but I will side with the laws that are written and make sure everything is fair. I will oppose any targets and or false laws that are basically being said that are not there. Everyone should be held accountable for their actions, citizens, board, police, or lawyers. I am running because I see corruption firsthand in this village, in my own home. I followed the correct channels. I went to the police, I went to the board, and I went beyond that. The town buried it. This was last year, this time. As a citizen of the village, our voices deserve to be heard and are considered on any changes that are made or not made. No one should be able to do anything that they want within the village because we are a village and we deserve to run it as a village. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue Passo, and I also grew up here, have lived here 90% of my life, and a few years back I decided that after I retired and I worked for Christian County Mental Health for 42, 43 years, I decided that it was time to start devoting a little time to my community, and that's why I ran. I also was disparaged by the fact that the village board seemed to always be in chaos. Everybody had their fingers in the till, the equipment, something. And so I thought that maybe I would like to run for that. In the last 3 years that I've been on the board, I'm going to tell you what I've learned. I've learned that First of all, you go into the board and there is no training, or at least I didn't think there was, but there is. The Illinois Municipal League is always there to help guide and inform the boards as to what they need to do as far as their qualifications. The other thing that I've learned is that there are a lot of backdoor deals going on with board members and making decisions outside of the meeting. And not that everything can be decided in that one 45-minute or hour meeting, but there's a lot of backdoor chatter. This is, when you walk in, you find out that you think you're going to hear something, and then you've got 3 people already got their mind made up, and you got 2 people over here hanging in the balance, and all of a sudden, I'm real important to them because they need my vote. I will tell you, I am very, and you've caught me at a bad time, I'm very disgusted with the police situation in this town. We knew that the current police chief, or the one that just left us, was going to be leaving. And I heard last year from people in Taylorville who work for the county that their words to me was, he's going to stick around for a year or so, and he's going to milk Kincaid as much as he can, get every dime out of us. And that's exactly what he did. But it was allowed to happen. It was allowed to happen. Because you cannot, I think DJ started out great, but he really lost his way. Consequently, we had another person lined up who was going to take his place. There was an issue with that. We got the issue taken care of at the committee meeting 3 weeks ago. I was part of that negotiation afterwards. And then I find out the next morning, DJ fired this gentleman. That left us with no one. So it was allowed to happen. I'm not happy about it. I am waiting to take this up with the mayor when I can get a hold of him. But it should not have happened. We should not have been left without police coverage. And yes, there's a lot of things we can do better. But we have to quit fractionalizing, and these two have this idea, and this is what we want to happen, and we're going to get this one over here to get involved with it. Instead of just bringing it, talking about it at the the committee meeting, and at the regular meeting and voting on it. If our laws are there, we cannot just throw them out the window because we don't like them. You have to rescind them, you have to redact them, you have to reconstruct them. But I do know this, it is not easy being on that board, because I just wanted to do something to make sure we had decent water. We finished our water project, because that's the only thing that's going to bring businesses and people into this town. Because we cannot do it without water. We cannot do it without infrastructure. And living here my whole life, I can tell you that Springfield Street is still, we're just now starting to replace the sewers they put in 1904. So we've got work to do, and that's what I'm committed to. Let's get the water system done. Let's make the town's infrastructure better so people and businesses will want to be here.
30 seconds.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Carrie, if you would, please.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Backer. I am running for trustee.
Add a minute to her because
I've lived here in Kincaid for about 4 years now with my husband, Christian, who works for the Village of Kincaid. He's the current water operator, and he's also a laborer. And our 2-year-old son, Theseus. For the past 2 years, I've attended nearly every meeting that I can. And in those 2 years, I've witnessed some things that I believe need to be changed for the better of the community. For example, citizens in this town have comments and concerns, and they should be able to express those concerns with the understanding that it will be taken seriously and not brushed to the side. Citizens deserve to be able to speak without being interrupted or shut down. Instead, they should be encouraged to speak their minds and be encouraged to be a part of the community. I also believe more discussion is needed during board meetings. Citizens have a right to know what exactly is being voted on and why. I've seen too many times when something gets brought up and there's little to no discussion at all, and then it gets voted on and no one knows what's going on. We're left with more questions than answers. The meetings are to inform the citizens of what is going on in town, and unfortunately, there seems to be a lack of communication. Not only is there a lack of communication within the town, there's also a lack of trust. As citizens, you should never wonder where your taxpayer dollars are going or why they're being spent there. We should know those answers. It seems like the town hides a lot of stuff from us. That should not be the case. Meetings are meant to inform everybody, not to leave people wondering what's going on. I would like to be a part of the board that fixes this town, that makes this community better. I would like to be the voice for those who feel like they can't be their own voice, or just ones who can't even make it to the board meetings. Hope to see you all in April. Thank you.
Dale?
My name is Dale Adamitis. The reason I'm not standing right now is I have a pinched nerve in my spine, and so I have to sit. I'm going to have surgery, and Mark's going to hit me.
Just grab it like you used to. Same
But then, why I'm running for the board as a trustee, I went to their meetings. There is nobody that want to get along. They all want to argue over everything. Then if they do anything, they got to maybe discuss it 3 or 4 times before they even vote on it. Because all they're doing is waiting to get all their group so it'll go through. Then they're constantly going in closed session. They should let the public know what they can was going on in closed session. But they don't need a closed session at every meeting they have. There is way too many that they have, and the people don't know what they discussed in their meetings. Not a word. And all of it is that they do, I guarantee you, is not about expenses or hiring and firing somebody. They're doing other things because they'll come to next month's meeting and vote on stuff that's never been talked about in the public, where the public can make and ask questions about it. They just bring it up and vote it. And that's got to stop. And the spending of money like they do, it's outrageous. I don't know why they want to spend so much, because they've got equipment to do it, or they want something new because somebody else got it. Another town got this new. Well, we got to have it. But they do not. They've got equipment that if they take care of it, that will last for years. Plus, I'm not going to say much more. I'm from Kincaid now. I was originally from Toby, Illinois. I grew up in Toby. I went to school in Toby. I graduated from Kincaid High School in 1972. In June of '72, I went into the Army to Vietnam. And people, when I come home, I get disgusted. Now, I'm just about disgusted. It's the same way these people are acting now in this town and on this board. Nobody talks to each other. They want to yell and scream at each other. And it's ridiculous. And the one meeting, there was a board member and 2 people in the crowd arguing, which should never happen in that board meeting. That mayor should have stopped that when it started. But he didn't. And it got very, very nasty. So that's gonna stop. It has to stop. I hope if we do get a new mayor, he takes the gumption in that and says, hey, no more. But I don't know if he will, or they will. But we have to stand up for the people in this town. If you have a question, call me. I'm home, call me. I'll talk to you and maybe help figure it out. But I may not be able to figure it out. But I will be for the people of Kincaid. Not for the board that wants to buy everything. But I will be and answer questions for the people.
30 seconds.
For the people of Kincaid. Because that's what the problem is. They need their questions answered. I will stop at that, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate that from all the candidates. We're going to begin with the questions now.
Yeah. 3.
3 minutes.
Okay, first question is, the last mayor's response to Central Commodities built with the new 12.5 acre anhydrous bulk storage facility was as, okay, facility was, there's nothing I can do. As mayor, do you recognize the following? Proximity risks. The facility is just 842 feet from the nearest residential property. Christian County Statute 1-10-20 mandates 1/4 mile for structures housing humans, and prevailing winds from the southeast erase the risk of toxic ammonia gas being carried toward the population of Kincaid and endangering 1,301 residents. What actions will you take? This was directed towards the mayor, but we're going to open it up to all the candidates. We'll begin with Tony.
Well, where they moved it isn't an ideal situation, but you gotta remember, it's sitting right in the middle of town for years. There's always a danger in it. I don't know what the legal aspect of it was. That should have been county that issued that permit. If they even issued one, I don't know. I never read anything. Did they get one?
Yeah, they got it.
So apparently, I know I signed a petition for,
Can I state something? They did not get proper permit from EPA to build that facility.
they did not.
They did not. They built that facility without proper permitting from the EPA.
We'll leave. There's no questions from the audience, no comments from the audience.
Thank you.
We'll save that for the board meetings.
And if that's the case, that was wrong on the board, Christian County Board. You know, somebody ought to fall back on them. The village really has not much to say about it. I'm glad to see it out of town. I mean, where I live, prevailing winds from the southeast, I'm gonna be first to get it if something happens. But I still feel it better there than sitting right over here on 104. Because if something, you know, it could be more catastrophic here than it would be out there. But I really don't know a lot about, you know, how they got it, because I didn't go to any of the county board meetings. That's about all I got.
Thank you. Tiffany, do you need me to reread the question?
No.
Okay.
I agree with it being out of town as well. With being on the fire department, we've had multiple calls with it being here in town where there was kids exposed because of the tanks leaking. 842 feet, I think is said. It's better than being 12 feet from your front door. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue, you're up next.
I'm not gonna respond because I'll just show my ignorance. I'm not even sure where the anhydrous plant is at.
County 5, Sue.
Yeah, I know that.
Save the comments, please.
I thought they were.
Okay, Sue will not respond because she's not aware of where the
I mean,
plant
I
is
know
going to be.
they've talked about it, but I don't know enough to speak to it.
Thank you. Carrie, would you like me to?
I'm with Sue on that one. I don't know enough about it to speak about it.
Okay. She's going to pass on comments also because she's unaware of what's going on with that. Dale?
I know where they put it at, and I feel that's the best place they could have went with it. They got it out of town. I know there's constantly, I only live maybe 300 yards from it, the old one, and there was constantly times we could not open the window because the valves on the tanks were leaking, and the wind would blow it right to the house. I have been around that hydrant ceremony with the job that I worked at, and it's not fun. You get it on you, and it'll burn your skin. You get it in your lungs, it'll burn your lungs out. And that's why I feel that's the best place they could have put it, out there in the country. So there's no kids playing around. And the people getting it. So, thank you, that's all I've got to say on that.
Thank you, Dale. John, you need me to reread the question?
Thank you. As for the location of the tanks and that, I know where they're at out on County 5. I think that's a pretty good idea, being out there away from town, because how many times we drive through town, you got the smell of the leaks driving down 104. If the permits are legal, that's something the mayor would have to check into. As a child, my mom's aunt and uncle lived in Palmer, and they had just a small tank blowed up, and just, I would say half a block from their house, so I could see the problem of being local and in town. But as long as the permits are all legal, I mean, there's not much the mayor can do otherwise. Thank you.
Next question was, do you have a plan to fix Sarah Lane? The road is falling apart. Tiffany, we'll begin with you.
I'm not sure, I don't know much about that.
Not sure of what's going on with
Side of
that?
it there.
Okay, thank you. Sue, any comments?
Yeah. Since I grew up without street signs here, I presume Sarah Lane's out there. Okay. I know that they've had some issues with, in laying down water lines for the village bull pit, and some of them extend across that, what I call the old Toby Road, into the new subdivisions out there. And I think they are going to wait and try to fix that once the water lines have all been secured. And the, as I understand, they were waiting on an individual who will not give us right of access to get to tunnel under his property to lay a water line. So that's part of the issue. So that's as much as I know. As soon as the water lines are finished and the sewer lines are in, they will go back and resurface that road.
Thank you. Carrie, any comments?
I'm also not quite sure where Sarah Lane is or how bad it is, but if it is a road that needs to be worked on, if you could bring it to a board meeting. And I know the board right now isn't exactly the best at answering people's questions, but if you can bring it to a board meeting, maybe when we get a new board, we can look into it more for you.
Thank you. Dale, comments?
No, I have no comment on it.
No comment. John?
I'm familiar with the Sarah Lane. As for all streets in this town, I mean, we have a lot of neglect. What's actually going on in Sarah Lane, I don't really know if they're really waiting on somebody, but with the village we're dealing with now, we could be lied to. But, we do lack a lot of infrastructure around town, so that's all I can say.
Tony, comments?
Well, I'm not familiar with the water line project over there, or if there's any grant money to repair the road or not, but if there's potholes, that shouldn't be an issue. Years ago, they bought a machine to go fill potholes, and whether they're still using it or not, I'm not sure. But as far as rocking and chipping it, all that depends on tax dollars. You know, and we're allowed, if I remember right, X amount of dollars, whether we have 100 houses in town or if we have 1,000 in town, we still get the same amount of money. And it doesn't go very far. I know when I was on the board of mayor before, if you got 2 streets oiled a year, you're doing good. Where in the past, you oil the whole town. But it just doesn't happen that way no more. Everything has to be prioritized, which is the worst, what needs done, what don't need done. But there again, if it's a pothole, they ought to be able to come to the board and send the guys out there with a truck and fill that hole, so it's not beating you to death when you go through there. And yeah, it is bad. I went down through there the other day. There are several places that need to be repaired. It's just a matter of giving the order and telling them to go out there and get it done. That's not all I got.
Next question is, what is your emergency management plan if the anhydrous plant bad event happens?
Sue?
Well, I don't think there's much of an emergency management plan set up for town, to be honest with you, that I'm aware of.
Would you announce that, please?
They can't, could you hear me?
Yep.
There isn't much of an emergency management plan set up for the town, which is a concern. I know that I'm on the Midland Fire Board, and we have a far better emergency management plan to be able to use the firehouse to house people and to keep them safe and warm. But the village doesn't have much of a plan. We have an emergency generator. That's the biggest plan we've got. So I can't speak to that. That would be something that certainly should be looked at and is of importance if we get hit with a natural disaster, an earthquake, or tornadoes or whatever. How are we going to house people, and what's the village going to do? And I think we've neglected that.
Thank you. Carrie? No comment. Dale?
Well, I know the fire department, like Sue said, they have that building built where they can use it for disasters. But in town, there's nothing. There's nothing. The fire department, they do what they can, but there's people in town here. Nobody would know if natural disaster, your house is blown over by a tornado, go to the firehouse. They will help you. And they will also notify the Red Cross, which a lot of people don't know that, but the town itself does not have anything. Not a thing. Thank you.
John?
for a natural disaster, especially tornadoes and such, I would assume that the Legion, the township, fire department, all would be a safe rescue place. Now, something like a anhydrous blowed off, I would say we're gonna have to evacuate and get out of town. The fire department would be the only one that would have some kind of emergency plan, and we would have, really need to get with them and get something going, not wait till some disaster happens. So, thank you.
Tony?
Yeah, as far as I know, the village has nothing for an emergency disaster of any kind, which should be addressed. What we could do is kind of limited, because if it's a tornado and the village gets taken out, you know, where are you gonna go? But something needs to be looked at, even if it's on paper and not even feasible through a disaster, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. As far as that hydrous plant, the only thing you do is evacuate. What are you gonna do? You can't send people out there. It's just gotta vent itself out, and we gotta be out of town. I know if I hear something, I'm leaving quick. And there again, if they did it by the county, you know, the right guidelines, they ought to have their own safeguards out there. But that we don't know. I don't know what down through the county, if they let them have, like I said, didn't have the right permits or whatever. That needs to be looked into. That's about all I got.
I can't remember. Tiffany, did I give you a chance? Or you next?
I don't know much about the anhydrous, as I'm on the EMS side of the fire department, but we do have a couple people on our fire department that do know how to handle anhydrous, but I don't know if it's for a disaster situation or not. I do know we use the fire department for a warming shelter, anything related to storms if people need it. There isn't really anything written, it's just a known thing that we help, or we post that we help. That's about all I have on the situation.
Thank you. This question's been asked before. Next question was, how will you handle the negative comments about the village? They must be speaking in general terms and not about at the board meetings. Let's see. Carrie, I believe you were next.
What's it?
It's Carrie's turn.
Yeah.
Carrie. Yeah, and it's Carrie's.
Is that the board meetings or
How
around the public?
Okay.
It just says, how would you handle the negative comments about the village?
I believe everybody has a right to their own opinion. Speak what you will. If you do have issues with the village, I encourage you to come forward and actually speak to the board about it. Everyone should be able to speak their mind, no problem. If it's anonymous or if you come to an actual board meeting or whatever, everyone has a right to their opinion. And if someone on the board does not like it, they should not blow up at you during a meeting. They should just keep it to themselves, keep it professional. It is what it is. That's how the world is today. Everybody talks. So, but if you have issues, bring it up to the board instead of maybe bashing them anonymously. But also, I promise, if anybody says anything bad and I am on board, it will not be brought up during a meeting. Thank you.
Dale?
Read the question again, Mark, please.
Question was, is how will you handle the negative comments about the village?
Well, everybody's got their own opinion, but the only thing that you can actually do is talk to them and let them know what you're doing. If they have more questions, please come to the board, ask the board. And then, because you're not gonna make everybody happy, no matter what you say or do, you will not make everybody happy. That's all I got to say.
John?
There was so much negativity around this town, and I myself get on South Fork Anonymous, and my wife wants to shoot me sometimes, and I'll make my comments, but you'll see my name tagged to it. And there's so many, what I call cowards, that won't stick their name to what they're saying, and most of them don't have anything to do with Kincaid to begin with. They won't come to the meetings, it's all negativity. Now, as far as the board goes, we need to get along. We need to not have fighting in the boardroom. If you got a problem, call the mayor, talk to the trustees, whatever, and get it taken care of. I mean, as the trustees and the mayor, we should voice people's opinions and respect them. And right now, we don't have that. We got arguing in the meetings, and it's just a disaster. So, thank you.
Tony?
Well, I think first off, it starts at the board meetings. They have to be run more professional than what they've been run. And that goes to the mayor on down to the trustees. That has to settle down. I think if you show the people in town that you're making an effort to correct the problems that's going on, negativity will go away. You know, you have to listen to people and give them the best advice you can, the best answer, whether it's something they want to hear or they don't want to hear. That's just the way it is. You can only do so much. And when it involves taxpayers' dollars, you're really limited on what you can do. But still, the board has to make an effort to correct the problems that's going on in this town now. Or the negativity is never going to go away on that board, on that anonymous, which I'm not a big fan of either, but I do read it, and I think a lot of it's malarkey, but so be it. And the sad thing about it is, I do think some of the people that are talking don't even live in this town, and that's bad. You know, it should be for our residents, but everybody has a right for free speech, and I read it and listen to it, and that's the way it is. But we got to get it started at the board, clear and simple. Thank you.
Tiffany?
I don't know about much that's being said about the negativity or negative comments, but I do feel that it should not have been brought up the way it was at the board meeting. It was very disrespectful, in my opinion. If someone has said something out of passing, people are talking. Everybody talks. Everybody has an opinion. That's not something that should be brought up at a board meeting the way it was. Thank you.
And Sue?
The question again is, how do I feel, or what do we do?
How would you handle the negative comments about the village?
Well, God knows I hear a lot of them. My personal opinion is, you know, when someone comes up and tells me something negative, my first thought is, I get embarrassed. Now, that's an old way to feel, but I get embarrassed because I'm on that board and they're talking about my town and my people. And I'm just, you know, I don't call people out in meetings. I don't argue with people. I do try to go to the source and have a conversation with them, find out what the problem is, and I try to address it with the people in the village structure that I have an issue with. And there have been a few times I don't like things they do, and I tell them point blank. But again, I'm just one opinion too, so I just try to deal with it, and deal with it honestly and openly. I don't believe in defaming people or degrading them.
Thank you. Next question was, would you like to see more businesses in town to help raise revenue? Dale?
Yes, I would, but the biggest problem we got right now is the people in this town, they want to argue about everything. The board members want to fight among themselves, and nobody's going to want to come to town that people fight over every little thing. So there's got to be a change, and a big change. And the people of Kincaid can do it. And the board of Kincaid can do it if they want to. But they've got to want to do it to get people here. Thank you.
John?
Yes, I would like to see more businesses in town and more revenue. But as a town, I mean, our meetings and our negativity has been going on for years. I mean, it's been so bad that we've had reporters at the meetings. And of course, now we've got the police courier. But we need to get all our negativity straight. That way people want to invest in the town, in Kincaid, which I believe would be a good town. We got a few things going on, but it's mostly gambling. But we do need a lot of different businesses, and we need to do a lot, or get some activities going for this town, like the Labor Day picnic, kid-friendly and such. I myself, I know it's getting a little off key here, but I go to the Litchfield Flea Market once a month, and they've got towns and towns of people come there and spend a lot of money. I mean, there's so many things we could do for this town, and it would be great. Thank you.
Tony?
Well, we're kind of limited on the type of businesses we could get in town. I mean, we've had hardware stores and stuff like that. But people tend to want to shop out of town, which I would agree with. You need to buy local as much as you can. I don't know that the town doesn't have the people that can support a lot of like dining restaurants or anything like that. Our infrastructure, some of it's not good enough to do anything with manufacturing. Hopefully that's going to change. I really don't know what these new projects are that they've got going on, because they're said to me, excuse me, about them. But you got to be able to accommodate infrastructure-wise to be able to get any kind of business in town for manufacturing or anything like that, and get a little incentive to come to town. It's just a plus for us, it's jobs, and plus the tax revenue. That's all I got on.
Tiffany?
Yes, I'd like to see more businesses come to town, but we are kind of limited on locations. Many of them are being bought up, trying to redo them, or people just do not want to sell or use them for storage. There's really no place for people at the moment. But we have to fix our town and the economy before we can actually bring more people in, because the businesses will fail. And we don't want them to fail. We want the revenue, we want the people, we want the town to build up, not down. Thank you.
Sue?
We do need to shore up our infrastructure. That's why the water treatment and the sewer project we have going on right now is so critical. Even if we just remain a sleeper town, you know, for people to go to Taylorville or Springfield to work and then come home and have a nice, quiet little community. We need to improve that infrastructure of our water, That is critical at this point because we can't, there's not much more we can take on without finishing out the sewer and the water project. But we also need to be more supportive of local people who want to start up little businesses. You know, we need to help those people instead of creating an obstacle for them every inch of the way. I would love to see more business. I'd love to see it like I did when I was a kid, when the square still had buildings standing and it had businesses and we had bakeries and we had, you know, taverns and grocery stores and we had drugstores, but we have nothing now. Our downtown is pretty much gone. And so in order to attract people, we have to say we can give you clean water, we can give you good, good sewer system, and we can give you all those infrastructures. So we've got to have that in order to even maintain a sleeper community. But we do need to be much more supportive of local people who are trying to do something for this town, whether it's to start up a coffee shop, a gambling operation, or, even a gas station.
And Carrie.
I would absolutely love to see more businesses here in town, especially locally owned businesses. I have personally looked into trying to open a bakery here in town. Little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be, so that has not panned out yet, but I think it would be amazing if somebody could open even like a daycare or something here in town, or an arcade or something. We need something more family friendly. We have a lot of bars, we have a lot of gaming parlors. There's nothing for families, there's nothing for kids. We need more of that.
Next question was, what are your feelings on allowing chickens within the village?
John?
Well, with the price of eggs, it's a hard situation. I know the board had brought up, if you got 300 feet of property, hey, you're good. But how many people with a neighbor on each side, and you get 75-foot width, can have chickens? And then probably the majority of them wouldn't take care of the property to begin with, and then your neighbor's gonna have to deal with everything's going on in your property. So I'm kind of neutral on that situation at the moment. But that's it. Thank you.
Tony.
Well, as a kid, I grew up with chickens. My grandma raised about 60 every year down on Springfield Street. We had eggs year round. We had fryers for frying chicken. We had bacon hens. That's all. But she kept the place clean. There was never any odor. I could see where people would have issues with that. I'm kind of curious to see what Rochester has just passed. They've passed, or are passing an ordinance to allow people to have chickens, a maximum of 6. I haven't seen the ordinance come out yet, but I'm kind of interested in it. I think if a person wants to raise chickens, I think they need to have written consent from their neighbors that they have no problem with it. And if they have no problem with it, I don't have no problem with it. I don't think the village needs to get into writing any special ordinances or anything that already exist. But if we do go with having chickens, yes, a special ordinance needs to be done. And we need to be enforcing, which in the past, nothing gets enforced in this town. That's why it's in the shape it's in. But I'm kind of neutral on it, but leaning towards, have chickens. I don't have a problem with it. No roosters though.
Tiffany?
I had that one.
Yes, I agree with having chickens. I was actually one who asked the board if I could have chickens before they made the ordinance of no chickens. So I am for it.
Sue?
I have no problem with chickens. If you've got the space for it and you can keep it clean and you can serve your family that way, I have no problem with chickens. I do have a problem with roosters, having been attacked by one as a kid, so I'm with Tony on that one.
Carrie?
I believe that we should be able to have chickens. I do think there should be like limits on it, how many you can have, that sort of thing. I also agree no roosters. But I mean, you get a lot more from chickens than just eggs. You have meat too, and the way the economy is nowadays, it would help a lot of people out. And not only that, but that could also help a locally owned business. Someone could help other people, help their neighbors and stuff.
And Deb?
I do not think that we should have chickens in Kincaid. I have lived where there's chickens. The people that had them were supposed to be respectable people, but they didn't take care of their chickens. They let them run loose. And people, one group had so much stuff out back of their house. The city had to clean it up. And that was from the straw and the manure droppings and that from the chickens. But people's not gonna take care of chickens, just like they don't take care of their dogs and cats in this town. They wanna run, they run. So, I'm totally against chickens. Thank you.
Next question was, what would you like to see done about the cars parked on the boulevards and sidewalks? Getting the streets cleaned up and the ditches taken care of. Tony?
What would you like to see done on cars parked on the boulevards, the sidewalks, streets cleaned up, and the ditches?
Well, half the streets in town don't have curbs and gutters, and that would be the first issue that you'd have to get straightened out. Like down the street from me, on my street, there's probably half a dozen cars that use the boulevard for a parking lot. And they do have a sidewalk. You know, the places like our subdivision down there, there's no curbs and gutters at all. So you shouldn't be able to park on the street, because if you do, especially in the older parts of town, the roads are too narrow. If you park on one side, you're fine, but if you got cars parked on both sides, you got a one-lane road, and that's no good for traffic, it's no good for snow control, or, you have to get people to move their vehicles. I'd love to see the village have enough money to go do something like that, but that would be a major project, which you'd have to have grant money to do it, and do it a section at a time. And there again, getting the people on board to do it is another thing. It's kind of hard to change old habits. You know, they get to parking on boulevards, they don't want to change where they're going to park. A lot of them don't have big enough driveways to hold all their vehicles. Myself, I got 4 cars. Of course, I don't park on the road, they're all on my driveway, but some people don't have that kind of room. So it's kind of a up in the air question. What do? There's places in town that needs to be fixed. There's places in town that you're not going to be able to fix. And just, you have to take it street by street.
Tiffany? Question was, is what would you like to see done about the cars on the boulevards and sidewalks, getting the streets cleaned up and the ditches?
My sidewalks I know out in front of my house are pretty rough, and I don't allow my little children to ride their bikes in the road. So the sidewalks do need fixed, and I live right next to the grade school, where kids are traveling daily on that sidewalk to go to school. They need fixed. I also have a side part of my yard that it would used to be grass that I try to make gravel because people keep parking there. I don't park there, and it's just causing ruts, which is literally on the road. So the roads and the sidewalks need fixed, but it's gonna take more than just us trying to stop it. We're gonna have to put like ordinances, hopefully, within parking on one side of the road. Even though it's not a convenience for everybody, it's not gonna make everybody happy, but it will make the people happy that are trying to travel those roads. Thanks.
Sue?
Can you reread it?
Cars on the boulevards and sidewalks, getting the streets cleaned up and the ditches.
We do have we have an ordinance here in town, that cars that are not tagged or currently tagged, or have an up-to-date sticker on them, as well as if they are like those bomber cars or derby cars, whatever, that people leave on their boulevards. Those are not allowed. They're to be taken off the property, or moved to their own property. There's ordinances for a lot of that. However, we have had police staff that have been resistant to writing out ordinances or following up on them. Consequently, we just received a grant to start redoing the curbing and the sidewalks near the grade school and the high school. But again, that's a lot of money, and we did get some federal grant money filtered to us for that. I'm not favorable of cars being parked up on the boulevard and in the drive. You've got a driveway for that. It just makes it unsightly. It makes us look like we just really don't care about our neighborhoods. But especially the junk cars or the cars that are not working, that you leave sitting out, there is an ordinance for that. It's just getting the board to get the police to act on those ordinances.
Gary? Question was, what would you like to see done about the cars on the boulevards and the sidewalks, getting the streets cleaned up and the ditches?
So when it comes to the vehicles on the sidewalks and on the boulevards, I know most streets are pretty narrow, especially over by Phillips, right behind there. It's impossible to get down some of those streets. So many people are parking on the boulevards, especially when they have driveways. It does not make any sense to me why anybody does that. I think there should be an ordinance against that. Sidewalks as well. There's a street over by me. There's one house that's got about 3 or 4 cars that just sit on his sidewalk. They don't ever move. I don't even think half of them have license plates. I think if you don't have license plates on your vehicle and they're just sitting there blocking anything, they need to be towed, get them out of there. It's junk. For the ditches, I know that there are a couple of ditches in town that have some drainage problems, but I also know that some of those drainage problems has to do with the culverts that are owned by the companies. So there are some ditches that they cannot do much with, but I do think that they do what they can with those.
Dale?
Well, the cars that they park on the boulevards and pull up on the sidewalk, it is illegal in the state of Illinois to park your car on a sidewalk, because you're restricting people to walk down the sidewalk, So that means they gotta go out in the road. Handicapped people can't go down. So how are they gonna get back out on the road and then back around that car? But in the state of Illinois, there is a law that you cannot park on the sidewalk. But nobody forces it. Because too many people say, well, I don't have a driveway, I don't have a parking place. So if they're not gonna enforce anything, so just, I don't know what we can do. But something has to be done. And that's why a group on the board has to sit down and discuss this. They don't have to make ordinances, it's a state law. Just enforce it. Thank you.
John?
I'm good.
Okay.
Again, that's why I'm running for mayor, is because of so many complaints about sidewalks, streets, alleys, potholes, drainage, ditches. And, I mean, if we could spend $14,000 on kitchen equipment, we could surely put $500 in the back of a dump truck and go fill some potholes or take care of a street. I'm gonna bring up this Litchfield thing again, that, we walk like 5 blocks to the area where they have it, and if they got a sidewalk that's sticking up, they'll grind that off and flatten it out. They might not be able to afford to pay for the whole sidewalk, but they can take care of that speed bump. And, as far as parking on the boulevards, I can over by Walnut Street, I'm not sure what street, but Walnut, I see they got it rocked and they're parking up against the sidewalks. There's, like I said, some of them streets are so or not wide enough for cars, but when they rock it pushes all that water to the street and causes an issue. We had a meeting where a handicapped guy that he lost his leg complained about sidewalks and getting to his car because of the water drainage issue, and basically they just dropped it and nothing happened about it. So I'm here for the citizens of this town. That's all I'm here for. I mean, if the citizens want to change, now's the time. And if they don't do it, so be it. You know what I mean? I'm not. That's it. That's the only reason why I'm running. So, and I myself, I live on a bio-grade school with a curb. I've had 2 driveways, one out back and one out front, with the camper and car out back and 2 car in the front. We still have issues with daughter and other vehicles. We have to put them in the street, but we just manage. So, thank you.
This will be the last one. This will be the last question.
Okay. That's good, because that was the last question, and what would you do to improve this community? Tiffany?
I really don't know until if I am elected to be on the board what I can do to improve this community, because everything would have to be voted on. I am one voice. There's many people in this village that we all can listen to, take advice from, listen to ideas. But with the village, it comes down to the voting. But I will always vote on what is right and what is legal and what we can do to improve this town. Thanks.
Sue?
What was the question again?
What would you do to improve the community?
Well, there's a lot of things we can do to improve this community, but most of all, it has to start with us as a community. I get to vote what I believe. I'm a member of this community too. I live here. I pay my taxes here. And I vote that conscience, what I think is the best move for the community as a whole. Not just me, but what benefits the most people. And what I think we could do is we have to start working as a team. We have to be able to listen to each other And most of all, it's not about running our own agenda through the village board meetings. We need to listen to what the people are saying, quit voting for our own special thoughts or interests, and we need to just vote what is the best move for this community. Because I agree, there's a lot of negativity here, and I think there's things that we could be doing 1,000 times better. And whether I'm back on the board, I guarantee you I will be there in the meeting. Because if I'm not at the board, I now know how the score rolls out of there. And I will be in the audience. And I don't know which one I'm most dangerous at.
Carrie?
I believe the community's biggest improvement that it needs right now is an open and honest board with board members that you can tell that they don't agree with something in the meeting, but they don't speak up. We need more people who are gonna speak up, speak out, not be afraid to say, hey, that's not right, that's wrong. We need that. We need a lot of improvement when it comes to like actually helping the town and not just one small thing. We need to help every department. We have a lot of board members that it seems like they join the board for one specific department, one specific reason. As soon as that reason is finished, they don't care anymore. They don't put any effort into any other departments. So we need a big improvement on that.
Dale?
First thing we have to do on the board is we have to get along, not argue with each other, and talk to the people and find out what their problems are and work on them. Because if you're fighting each other, you ain't gonna be able to work on something I wanna do. Because you're gonna fight and it'll never get done. You have to work together as a board and go from there. Thank you.
John?
As the mayor, if I was elected, we need to get along at the board meetings. We need to respect the public and try to do what they want done, whether it be streets, sidewalks, whatever. I mean, even I'm up to, as a plumber, as a mayor, loading some rock and going and filling a pothole or doing something for the community. I've heard a while back that, it was a Langleyville water attendant had come to Kincaid to shut somebody's water off because of water leak. And our foreman's working at nights and nobody around to turn it off, so he came to from Langleyville to Kincaid to help these people. So we just need to do things for the public, respect them, and like I said, I've seen Toby and Langleyville mayors chip out. I mean, there's not a lot of income, but like I said, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to go fill a pothole or work on small projects like that, and it doesn't cost a lot of money either. So, thank you.
Tony?
Well, I think it all starts with the board and the mayor getting along and getting things done. There's a lot of projects that could be done, and I believe you need to start at the schools. We need to improve around our square to make it look presentable. We don't have a sidewalk anywhere around the square that's decent. Used to be years ago, you hired in the summer, you had a couple kids from the school and give them a 5-gallon or a gallon jug of yellow paint, they painted the curbs. The curbs haven't been painted in probably 10 years now or more. We could do a lot of things without spending a bundle of money. You know, it's the small things that make a difference. Plant some flowers, make it look nice. Make the town attractive, you know. That stops a lot of negativity there too. And then try to get the money we need to replace these sidewalks that are bad and water, storm sewers or whatever needs fixed. And listen to the people, the people, they have a problem, try to fix it for them. I mean, you might not be able to do it that day or even that week, but put them on a list and go look it over and see what it needs and get the job done. Don't wait till they come back all irate and want to throw a fit about things. It's the little things that count. Just do a lot of the little things and the big things will show up and take care of themselves.
Tiffany, you're answered? Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for the questions. We're going to move on to closing comments for each candidate. You'll have 3 minutes each. And we will begin with Carrie.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what to say. I did not plan for this part. I forgot about it. But I do want to say that if elected, I'm not gonna stand up here and make any promises. Like Tiffany said, I'm only one person. I can't make all the decisions by myself. It's a group effort. But I believe I would make a good addition to the board. I will be open, I will be honest. I won't hold anything back from the village as long as you guys are legally allowed to know. There's no reason why you shouldn't know what's going on. There's no reason that the community, the citizens shouldn't be able to come to meetings and feel like they're gonna be taken seriously, like their issues are actually going to be handled and not just, okay, we'll look into it and then brought up again 6 months later. So, thank you.
Dale, closing comments?
Yes, what I'd like to say, if I'm elected, is I will be answering any question from anybody. I can't make promises for anything, but I will try to do my best to help anybody on anything. All you gotta do is call me. And that's about all you can do, and I speak for you, not for me, for you, the people of Kincaid. Thank you.
John?
Again, why I'm running for mayor is to help the community. I don't need the money, I don't need the sometimes headaches probably, but as a self-employed plumber, I have the opportunity to help the village when they're doing small projects like at the park, which previously I have donated time to the park, business-wise, not charging them, just to help out the small income that they were working with. And like I said, I just want to do everything for the public. I'm not doing it for myself. I work at Blakely's Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. I was offered a job that I couldn't turn down when I was self-employed. I worked 7 to 3. I was hired in at 4 days a week if necessary, if I wanted to. So I have the time to come to this town, spend a day in the office or in the afternoons or whatever, and talk to the public. Anytime during the day, you can call me on my cell phone. That's how flexible my job is. So if you have a concern and something needs taken care of, you'll have my cell number to get a hold of me. And again, I can work one day into the office and be around in the afternoons, evenings for the public to check on things, make sure things are getting done. So I just appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Tony?
Well, I would appreciate your vote, and if I do get elected, I will make myself available. I do believe the mayor needs to be in the office for people to come in and see, or be able to talk to, whatever. And my phone number will always be available. I'll take calls anytime. Not midnight though. And, there needs to be changes at the city hall. And, there needs to be changes in the way the police department is run, which, like I say, I was a big advocate of it before, and I still am. But they're gonna do things the way I want done, and the way the board wants it. The bad thing about being mayor is, and I've had it happen before, I may want something, but it's gonna be the trustees to make a decision. So, a mayor, I always said I wanted to stay on as a trustee, because you got more done. As a mayor, yeah, you've got the authority to do stuff, but the board can shut you down quicker than a heartbeat, I know. There needs to be changes in our zoning system, the way it works. There need to be changes in our financial situation, the way we work. They're giving money out to different committees to spend that wasn't done when I was here in the past. Why do they need it now? That's gonna stop. I'm not gonna be like that. That's all I've got.
Tiffany?
Just like Carrie, I did not prepare for this part either. Again, yes, I am just one person, and I would appreciate your vote when it becomes April. There is a lot of things that need changed, but we have to start with it at the village level to be able to help the whole village as a whole. Thanks.
Sue?
Well, I'd still like to be a trustee, but again, if it doesn't work out that way and I don't get enough votes, I will be in the audience because I know how it ticks. And I know that you have a lot of too much pre-planning or plotting by some of the current trustees and trying to lay out plans before we even get to the meeting. But I am always willing to listen. I am always willing to carry your voice into the meeting. If you vote for me, I appreciate it. If not, I thank you for your time today.
That will wrap up the question session. I would like to thank all the residents for coming today. Would have been nice if there would have been more, but we do appreciate those that did show up. We'd like to thank those candidates that did show up today. Thank you, and best of luck for the election.
Thank Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I thought Mark did a fantastic job. Give him a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Denise did the clock for us. Thank you, Claire, for the video. Most of all, thank you, community. That's what this is. I learned a lot today. I hope you did too. I really did. This was very, very good. Thank you all for your papers. I appreciate it. Thanks for the free coffee. Thank you for the coffee. Thank you for the coffee. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Mark,